up, everybody? It's Bart Johnson here, and we are live. Meaning, once again, it is Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Glad to be here. I know it's been, I think we've missed the past like 2 weeks of live shows. One was just because of technical difficulties. Our neighborhood was without internet. And last week I was busy working on the house and all that. And actually, even today, I've already been over there working on the house, and we'll be going back after this stream. But of course, I had to come and hang out with you guys. I just realized I don't have my little accent light on. Let me do that. You can see I'm obviously super prepared. There we go. Get a little blue kick in there. All right. But anyway, guys, the long and short of that is, yeah, it's good to be back. I wanted to make sure we got in here because there has been a lot of news in the filmmaking and camera world. And stuff just seems to keep getting released left and right. It seems like we've got stuff from, most of our large companies here within these past 2 weeks. We got some stuff from Canon, stuff from Red, stuff from Cam, stuff from Aputure, Atomos. We got a lot of stuff to go over today. And so I'm trying to get myself all caught up on all of this news and figured some of you guys might need to get caught up as well. And I see we already have some people here in the chat, which is awesome because, of course, the beauty of this is that it is live, and so we want to chat. We want to interact and hang out. And so I can pull our chat if I go to, I can pull our chat up here on the screen. You can see we already have Mr. Rob in here. Good to see you. And we have Shark. Hello from London. Thank you for tuning in from London. That's awesome. But yeah, feel free to pop into the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. And of course, as we go through all of these bits of news and updates and new cameras and new software updates, all that stuff, let me know what you think about them. Let me know what you guys are excited about, or if some of these things you really just don't care about, because, they might not all apply to you. So let's see what we got. Shark is saying all we need is for Panasonic to release the GH6, rumored to come out in August. Yeah, GH6, everybody always wants that next iteration, and of course the GH5 is a couple years old, but is a fantastic camera. And so those GH series users, of which I'm one, I have a GH5 and I still use it and love it. They want to see that GH6. So again, like you said, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you, Siri. Gosh, trying to pipe in on our stream here. But yeah, New Legend Pictures, Aaron's in here. Yo, good to see you, buddy. Glad you can come by and hang out. But Siri got me all flustered there, piping in when I didn't want her to. What were we talking about? GH6, Panasonic, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, we got a lot of news to cover today. We're probably going to blow through some stuff pretty quickly because we can't go super in depth, but I do have links to all the articles that I'm going to be sharing today down below. So if you want to look at something a little bit more in depth, or I kind of gloss over it kind of quickly, feel free to check those out because these articles have a lot of the information, a lot more in depth. And like I said, I'm getting all caught up on all this stuff at the same time. Yeah, so we're going to dive in just a second here. Let's see here. Shark saying, I love my GH5 and GH5S. What is your main video shooting camera? So yeah, I've never used a GH5S. I have a GH5. My primary cameras these days are actually just here over my shoulder is the Blackmagic Pocket 6K. So I have Blackmagic Pocket 6K, Blackmagic Pocket 4K, and then I also have the latest edition is the Zcam E2 F6. I've been experimenting with that camera, and I've been liking it so far. My main used to be my Ursa Mini 4.6K. And I would like to get another Ursa Mini from Blackmagic in the future. Mr. Rob, what's going on for your moving day pizza fun, dude? Yes, moving day is still months and months away. There we go. Got my, where is it? Here you go. Thank you, Rob. Thank you. That's fantastic. Appreciate that with the super chat there. Moving day several months away. We're still very much under construction at the house, but it's moving along really well. And if you don't know what I'm talking about construction for the house, make sure you subscribe to the channel here and go and check out my studio rebuild series, because we're not only rebuilding my studio, but rebuilding the whole house after some stuff. So Trevor's in here. Good to see you. Jason Papa. Hi, Bart. How are you? I'm doing well. How are you, Jason? Glad to see we got some good people in here. Shark's asking, wow, what is the Blackmagic Raw like compared to ProRes Raw? You know what? I'll be honest. I haven't actually shot much Blackmagic Raw. I usually shoot in just standard ProRes, and I have never used ProRes Raw. So, but maybe I will in the future, because that ProRes Raw is going to come up in some of our news articles today. But first, let's start with cameras. So one that everyone has been talking about is the Canon R5. So the Canon R5, Canon announced that it was announcing a camera a while ago. They said, yes, we're going to be making this new mirrorless camera. Didn't really tell us much about it, and we had rumors flying all over the place. Well, we got a second round of announcements from Canon about it. This time actually confirming some of the specs. So we have confirmed specs, but we do not have confirmed pricing yet, although we do have some rumors about that. And let's go ahead and take a look at our first article here. So here we go. This is over at Petapixel. So Canon unveils key EOS R5 specs, and they do not disappoint. This is kind of crazy. We saw a lot of rumors about this, but we were all saying, no, there's no way Canon will do that. There's no way. They always tend to handicap their cameras in one way or another to try and you know, preserve their cinema EOS line. But we're getting some amazing stuff here. Dual IS. So that's something that we haven't really seen before. At least with Canon. So that means we have in-body stabilization there. So like your GH5, you know, you've got a stabilized sensor as well as working in conjunction with stabilized lenses. You get that dual IS. 4K 120 frames per second. That's impressive. No crop 8K. They said it was going to be 8K. But everyone was saying, oh, yeah, but I'm sure there's probably going to be like a massive crop, you know, like 2.8x crop or something like that. They're saying no crop for 8K. Insane. And more. So let's take a real quick look at this. Like, these specs are insane here. So we're talking internal 8K 30p RAW. So raw internal recording. Now, my guess is it's probably going to be that Canon RAW Lite that we saw on like the C200, but who knows? You know, they're really pulling out all the stops with this camera, which is kind of surprising. And then, of course, you can do internal 8K 30p video recording in 422 10-bit C-Log and HDR PQ. So you've got C-Log in this. You've got some version of RAW, whether it be light or a full RAW, and 8K 30p in both of those. 422 10-bit internal. Okay. Internal 4K 120p recording at 10-bit 422. All right. Yeah. External 4K 60p video recording over HDMI, so they're only able to output 4K HDMI at 60p. But with these internal codecs, I mean, I'm only going to be using, I would only use the HDMI output for monitoring purposes, at least I think. Here we go, no crop 8K and 4K video recording using the full width of the sensor. Here's a huge one. Dual pixel CMOS autofocus available in all 8K and 4K recording modes. So Canon has been killing it, and we've all sort of known for a while that Canon is sort of the king, I think, of autofocus, and that's because they use that dual pixel autofocus system. And it's going to be in this, and it's going to be available in all 8K and 4K recording modes. That's just crazy. 5-axis in-body stabilization works in conjunction with optical IS, dual card slots, CFX. I mean, there's a ton of stuff here, but basically here's the kicker. You're getting a stabilized full frame sensor, 8K, no crop, with dual pixel autofocus, 422 10-bit RAW. I mean, the specs are just off the charts for this. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any actual pricing yet. You guys can check this article out if you really want to see a lot more of those details. On specs alone, so here they've got a note here. It says, on raw specs alone, the camera seems to outperform even high-end cinema gear, like the $39,000 full-frame Sony Venice. That's, you know, it's insane. And yeah, so that has people clamoring and trying to figure out exactly what the pricing of, oops, you don't need to see that. There we go. Has people clamoring and trying to speculate what the price would be, because that's the one thing Canon has not given us yet. They haven't given us the price. And with the confirmation of these crazy, really high-end cinema camera level specs, people are thinking it's probably going to be quite a bit. Now, there was a rumor that just came out. I guess there was an Australian retailer that had an inventory line item for the R5, you know, just in anticipation of it, you know, coming into stock in the future. And I guess they had put a placeholder price in their system of $6,800. And so that rumor was flying all over the place, and everyone was assuming, oh, $6,800 is the cost. So that is not confirmed by Canon. That was just something apparently that retailer was using as a placeholder price in their system. But who knows? You know, a lot of people are speculating that this could be about the $4,000 range. $4,000 would allow it to compete with stuff like the Panasonic S1H, which is another, you know, full frame mirrorless camera that's been killing it lately. And so Canon is looking to come in there and really make some serious moves. And you know what? We really haven't seen anything from Sony. Everybody's been praying for, you know, that unicorn mythical A7S III, which it doesn't look like. Maybe it's never coming, but it's looking like Sony needs to step up and drop something, you know, in that full frame mirrorless world pretty soon, because nobody saw this gigantic leap from Canon coming with this R5. And then of course there's going to be the R6 after that. So similar to like the Canon 5D and the 6D, the 6 will be, you know, roughly the same sort of specs, but obviously, you know, handicapped down a little bit for a reduced price. But you know, you're probably still going to get the same sensor and a lot of the same performance out of it. I don't know anything about the R6 yet. We just know that it's going to be coming. And if the 5D and the 6D show us any relation between, you know, what a 6D can do compared to the 5D, then maybe the R5 and R6 will be a similar thing. So let's see what we got in the chat here, people talking about this. So Rob was saying, I'm both fascinated by and super skeptical of Red. We're going to talk about Red very shortly. He says, what would the Red Komodo need to be specs-wise to be truly exciting to you? We're going to talk about the Red Komodo. Actually, we're going to talk about that next. So we're going to get into that in just a second. So just hold on, Rob. But yeah, I do have some things to say about the Red Komodo. Shark was saying Canon have fallen away for many years in the DSLR in comparison to Panasonic and Sony, and now they catch up. Yeah, I'd say so, if not leaping over them. They basically copied the GH5, GH5S, and S1H and created the R5. Yeah, you know, it is very much a big move. It's a bigger move than I think anybody expected from Canon. And especially with confirmation of those specs. Like, we saw them all and we were like, ha, yeah, right. And now it turns out that most of them are true. Let's see here. Trevor says, there's still some critical details missing. As spec, it displaces some of their high-end cameras, which makes no sense. I think we'll have serious 8K record time limitations. Yeah, so Trevor's bringing up a very good point. You know, this is not all of the specs and all the things about the camera. There could be record time limitations because of heat issues. You know, 8K 30p raw recording is going to build up some heat in that body. And so, yeah, we don't know. We don't know everything for sure. So there still may be a couple gotchas with the R5. And yeah, a lot of people, myself included, have been worried and speculating about cooling. You know, the early A7 models had some issues with heat, and who knows, maybe this will have some issues with heat as well. And the way for them to stop that is, you know, probably reducing record time or whatever we can do there. So, and Rob says, welcome to Crop City Ace. Yeah, so it's appearing like there's not a whole lot of crop limitations, but like we said, there's nothing really in there. We don't know for sure yet. We don't have everything. We've got, I don't know, 80% of what we need to know here, specs-wise, about the R5. And yes, guys, I'm drinking a Red Bull today instead of my usual iced tea because I am tired. It has been a long week and a lot going on, man, and I just haven't had a whole lot of time to catch up. But anyway, that's the R5. Link below. Interesting camera. I think depending on what the limitations are, I would be personally looking more towards something like the R6. But who knows? Maybe they'll take away too many of the features that I like with the R6, and I'll want to go with the R5. Or maybe I just won't go with either of them because who knows? Maybe they could end up being astronomically expensive, and I'll say no thanks. I'll pass. So we don't know. Price is everything, you know. So we're gonna wait and see. Shark saying, let's wait and see what Panasonic delivers with the GH6 new autofocus system and 8K rumored. Yeah, so, you know, Panasonic, maybe they're teed up to combat this, you know, and drop something in the form of a GH6 or something else to match it or, you know, maybe pull ahead again. But we can only speculate. But in the high resolution camera world, we do have another one that Rob was talking about, and that has been the long talked about Red Komodo 6K camera. So Red has been talking about this for a long time, and it looks like we're finally getting some dates, and we're finally getting some numbers in terms of pricing on it. So this is sort of the opposite of what happened with the Canon story that we just went over. Canon gave us specs, no price. Red is giving us price, but not a full list of specs just yet. So let's take a look at this article here. Let me get into my tools here. All right, so here we go. This article comes from Cinema 5D. Again, all articles are linked down below if you really want to dive into these. But this is just the latest update on the Red Komodo. Price, like I said, so a little bit of hinting towards release date or at least pre-order dates, and color options of all things. I don't know about that. I really don't care about color options, but apparently it makes a price difference because if we look here, so we don't have final confirmed specs. It says right there. So like I said, really weird. We don't have final confirmed specs of the camera, but they know that the price is going to be about $7,000 for the Stormtrooper white edition. So the white camera costs $7,000. And $6,000 for the regular black version, which comes after that. So for a white camera, you're going to be paying $6,000. No, you're going to be paying $7,000. So you're paying $1,000 more. And then it also says that even before the Stormtrooper models, that Red is going to ship limited custom colored Komodos for $7,000 or slightly above that. And according to Jared Land, this will happen around maybe June 1st. Okay, so we have a $7,000 white one. We have a $6,000 regular black camera. And then these limited custom colored, which we don't know what those colors are going to be $7,000 or slightly above. I don't know about you guys, but I don't care about colors. I want to know what this camera can do. Pretty much all that we know from rumors and all that stuff is that this is supposed to be a 6K camera. They're looking now, you know, if you get that black one and don't spend the money for colors, you've got 6K for 6K. but yeah, you know, not a whole lot. We just have still rumors on what it can do, and that may be because you know, maybe Red is going through and fine tuning and tweaking everything and really trying to see how far they can reliably push it to get some of those specs out there. But Rob was asking me, he was saying, what would it take for me to be excited about this camera? To be honest, I don't know, because I will be honest, I'm not excited about this camera. I think it's too little too late from Red. And hear me out, here's why. So 6K, yeah, that's big resolution wise, but look, I just picked up for $5,000 a full frame 6K camera in the form of the Zcam E2 F6. Now, I'm not a resolution chaser. The fact that it is 6K, that's great, but I mean, I'm really shooting in 4K, but it can go beyond. So it is a 6K camera for $1,000 less, and it's full frame. Now, obviously, Red's real, their secret sauce and what makes them awesome is their raw compression, that red coat, all that stuff. Yeah, Zcam, not close to that. But the fact of the matter is, at least me personally, I don't even use that. I don't shoot RAW very much. I'm shooting ProRes on that camera. I can shoot 6K ProRes internal on that thing, and it's $1,000 less. And that's from a company like Zcam, who are, I mean, let's be honest, relatively new. Like, they're just coming out and doing this. And so, from a company like Red, I really feel like this is too little too late. I don't know who they're targeting with this. I don't know who they think is going to pick this up. I mean, maybe it's a good B cam to people who own the higher end Reds. I mean, maybe that's who they're going for. That's why they have these colors. So you can sort of signature your the look of your camera. But I mean, you've got 6K cameras out there like the Panasonic S1H, which is full frame, 6K, different form factor, obviously, mirrorless camera as opposed to a cinema camera body, even though like everything, the lines are all starting to blur now. But let's be honest, even that is cheaper. It exists. And it's, yeah, I mean, too little too late is just how I feel about the Komodo, and I'm just really not excited about it. I've never been a real big Red fanboy. I'm not really a fanboy of any camera brand. I do have a bunch of Blackmagics now, but I mean, I've shot on and used absolutely everything. I'm in the Zcam market now, like, so yeah, it's just hard. I don't want to bang on it because, maybe you guys are interested in this. Maybe I'm missing something. And, it might just be that in my personal situation, this camera doesn't get me excited, but maybe it has some of you excited. Maybe it's a good entry into that world of Red that you want to get into. But let me know. Let me know if you guys are excited about this and if I'm just completely wrong. But for me personally, I know we had a whole lot of chat come by through, so let's see what we got here. Where did I leave off? There we go. Okay, so Shark was saying the GH6. Okay. Trevor saying, I think the two real missing pieces of recording times and everything. So we're talking a little bit about the R5 in that. So let's see if we got anything. Eugene, hey, good to see you here. I switched to Sony years ago and was never really satisfied with the image and overall experience. Sony specs are good, but there's just something I find unappealing about the image. I've heard that about from a lot of people. The Sony image can be sometimes a little bit difficult to work with, or some people find it, just as you said, just kind of unappealing. Some of that is subjective, but yeah. I've shot with Sony's professionally. I've shot with Canon. I've shot with everything. I'm on a Panasonic Lumix G7 right here for this. So I'm really all over the place with camera brands. Eugene saying, can't wait to switch back to Canon and never look back again. So I guess that R5 and R6 probably have you very interested. Eugene saying, Red is not worth the money anymore, in my opinion. Yeah, like I said, I kind of agree with you. I think they're releasing something that is on par, if not a little bit behind some of the stuff that the other manufacturers have out, and it looks like they're pricing it higher than what's already out there. So I don't know how that's going to work out for them, but we'll see. Trevor talking a little bit about Sony Color. Easy to fix. The problem with Sony is the 8-bit codec. Yeah, so codecs are everything. There's just so many aspects to all these different things that, this is why we can't say like one camera or one brand is better than another, because there's so many different aspects to everything, even to each individual camera. Rob is talking about Red pricing. Don't forget that if you get screwed by them over the Hydrogen 1, you get a discount. I did not know that. So you get a discount if you were one of those Hydrogen 1 people. All right. So again, that sort of leads me into that thinking like that this camera is for people who already are in the Red ecosystem. I don't see this camera necessarily drawing new Red users to the Red platform. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. I just don't see it. Jason's asking, what's your opinion of the Zcam E2C? How does it stack up against the competition? I have not used the Zcam E2C. Actually, the very first Zcam I ever used, this is one that I bought, which is the F6, which is the full frame. So I haven't tried any of the others. But we're going to talk a little bit about the Zcam. Actually, you guys are good. You are in the order of our topics. It's going to be the next topic we talk about, because some stuff did happen with Zcam that I think is pretty cool news. Another thing from a small company that's making big waves. Trevor says people are really into Red color science will probably stick with, and also their rep in the feature market will keep them in the game for a longer time. Yeah, that's very true. Red is pretty solidly in there as a known, feature film camera, Netflix productions, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying Red's in any sort of trouble. I'm just saying this camera confuses me a little bit. I don't think it is going to be for drawing new people to the Red ecosystem. I think you're on the right track there, and just being like, this is just a smaller Red camera for people who already use Red. But yeah. Also, the image in the FX9, so the Sony FX9 is simply outstanding. Their color science is greatly improved. I have heard good things about the FX9, but I have not tried it. See, we're getting these amazing large sensor, cinema cameras. It's awesome. And Rob, with a thought on Red here, this is what's bugging me. It's not like they're shaking up a stead market, but jumping into a super competitive market with a lot of great innovative gear. Yeah, that's true. They're not doing anything groundbreaking with the Komodo. They really are just diving into the pool with Zcam, now Canon with an 8K camera, and Panasonic with the S1H. You're right. They're really just kind of joining everyone, but at a higher price point. It's interesting. Trevor, who really thought the Hydrogen 1 was real. And then he says the folks who plunked down north of a G-Note certainly did. Yeah, okay. Let's not give them such a hard time for the people who went for that. But yeah, it was. It did not come to fruition, that Hydrogen 1. All right. But that's the latest on the Red Komodo. Like I said, there's a link to this article down below if you really want to dive into it a little bit more. And we'll certainly keep our eyes on this for a while, because we're still waiting on specs for this camera. So, maybe it's got some crazy cool frame rates and stuff like that. But, there's still a lot that we need to know, specifically what can the camera do. And I would assume that we should get that information soon. If pre-orders start around June 1st, I would hope that they would give us, specs before people started pre-ordering. But it's Red. Who knows? All right. Our next article, next piece of news that we want to talk about We were talking a little bit, Jason was talking about Zcam. Now he was talking about the Zcam E2C, but this is some Zcam E2 news. This is actually pretty sweet. This is over at New Shooter. The Zcam E2 now supports ProRes Raw over HDMI with the Atomos Ninja 5. This is crazy. So you probably remember that it was not too long ago that everyone was saying, oh, it's impossible to send RAW over HDMI. Then Atomos and Nikon worked together for the Z6, and I believe the Z7 did it as well. And they got ProRes Raw over HDMI to be able to be recorded, you know, obviously being recorded by the Atomos unit itself. And it looks like now they've been working with Zcam and have done the same thing, which is freaking cool. I've been trying to find out exactly which of the Zcam models, because there's so many models of Zcam. So Jason was asking about the E2C. So there's the E2, there's the E2C, there's then the 3 flagship models, the E2S6, the E2F6, which I have, and the E2F8. So there's a lot of them. They need to work on all those different SKUs and everything so we can keep them all track. But yeah, let's see here. So raw output over HDMI, details to be followed. So this is all still, you know, not in practice quite yet. I believe it's beta software. Oh yeah, beta firmware for the Ninja 5 that is doing it. So while the Ninja 5 firmware is not finished yet, they got a sneak peek at it. Improved performances. So I'm just looking at some of the specs there. Yeah, so here, you know, they have some samples on here, but the Ninja 5 will record 12-bit Apple ProRes Raw at up to 4K 60. So this will give Zcam E2 users the best possible image quality from the camera. That's crazy cool. Now, like I said, I have never used ProRes Raw because I am not a I'm not a Final Cut editor. I use Premiere Pro, but we're going to talk about that a little bit. But you know, Zcam is now joining this long line of cameras that can now output some sort of RAW, you know, ProRes Raw to the Atomos Ninja 5, and I'm assuming other models as well. But I mean, this is just cool. So this is a technological breakthrough here, and it also signifies something that I'm really excited about. It's the fact that there's companies like Zcam, which I said are, you know, the Zcam models, the flagship ones are, you know, comparable, I think, to what we're thinking that Red Komodo is going to be, but they are partnering with the right companies in the industry to be able to gain functionality that they can't do on their own, namely Atomos. So they're working with Atomos. They've partnered with them, and this is an amazing partnership. I really, you know, I can't imagine what they're going to come up with in the future and what they're going to be able to expand the capabilities with now that they're working together. I like seeing this. This is really cool, especially because, you know, I did just buy a Zcam. And I really did not see this coming at all. It just popped up one day and I was like, oh, wow, look at that. That's crazy. So let me know if any of you guys are interested in this, or if I'm the only one because I'm sitting here with a Zcam and being like, oh yeah, it's let me see what we got in the chat. Let's face it, nobody will be able to buy anything until this coronavirus pandemic is over. Yeah, you're right, Shark. But you know what? It doesn't stop us from salivating and looking at all the new gear and pretending like the world is all normal and doing our normal stuff of you know, lusting after equipment. But I'll tell you what, this ProRes Raw coming to the Zcam E2 models is pretty cool. ProRes Raw over HDMI expanding now. That's cool. And who knows? Maybe I will start experimenting with ProRes Raw. Never used it because, like I said, I am not a Final Cut editor. But that leads us right into our next piece of news. which is Premiere Pro gets full ProRes Raw support. So let me pull up this article for you. There you go, over at News Shooter, yeah. So I no longer have an excuse not to mess around with some ProRes Raw, because now with the latest update to Adobe Premiere, Premiere Pro gets full ProRes Raw support. So I haven't tried this yet. I don't even think I have anything at the moment that could record ProRes Raw. So I'll have to get that figured out. But it's here. So, you know, Premiere is, Premiere, I feel, has always kind of tried to be that, like, that sort of switchblade program, as in the sense that it can handle any sort of codec that you throw into it. And of course, they have to catch up when new codecs come out. You know, they can't just be ready right out of the gate. But, you know, now it can natively handle Blackmagic Raw, and now it can natively handle ProRes Raw. Pardon me. Little Red Bull there. Yeah, so that's cool. Another big thing, I'm not sure how many of you are actually Premiere Pro editors. I'm very stubborn. I'm very much an Adobe guy. Even though I shoot Blackmagic cameras and I do have Resolve on my system, I still do the majority of, I mean, I do all my work in the Adobe Creative Suite. But Adobe has also done a couple other things here. So they streamline the graphics, but one of the biggest things is they have enabled hardware encoding, and for both NVIDIA and AMD GPUs, providing consistently faster exports for these widely used formats in Premiere Pro and Media Encoder. So they have really updated the ability to utilize GPUs, particularly NVIDIA. So it doesn't actually help me very much at this moment. I'm on a Mac platform and I'm using a Mac Pro, so I have that Radeon Pro Vega 2. And actually with the update, it's been acted a little funky for me. It's kind of got my GPU sort of riding high when I have Premiere open, and then it doesn't want to come back down. So it looks like they may still have some bugs on the Mac end with these newer GPUs. But for any of you out there that are PC people and are working with Premiere, depending on what kind of graphics card you have in your system, it looks like Premiere is finally going to be able to take use of that, or at least better use of it than it did before. And the reason I'm saying finally is because, of course, you know, other software's been able to do this. Final Cut has always been optimized for the hardware that's in Apple machines, because obviously Apple makes the software and the hardware for their machines. So Final Cut usually runs pretty well optimized on those systems. And DaVinci Resolve has always been very good at, no matter what system you're on, they've been very good at optimizing hardware usage and performance. So Premiere is sort of the last one to the game here, and I will admit that, even though I'm a huge fan of Adobe and Premiere. They are sort of the last one to the party on this, but hey, they are getting there. So for me, it's not whether, you know, they got there first. It's, for me, it's really the fact that the software that I use is potentially getting better. I'll fully admit, you know, they're not the first ones. They're sort of the last ones to the party on this. But I do like to see them making progress, and a lot of people are really excited about this. I saw some videos from Armando Ferrara and Gerald Undone had some videos where they did some performance tests on their rigs with the new you know, GPU supported encoding, and apparently it was so much faster. So very cool. So if you want to see all of the stuff, there's a lot of stuff that was in the latest update here. Eric Naso did a really good article here on News Shooter, as he always does. And there's a link down in the description below if you really want to dive into the details on that one. All right, let's see what we've got here. Trevor says, I chose between the Zcam S6 and the S1H. Zcam Color Science is some of my favorite. So did you go with the Zcam, Trevor? Did you pick up the Zcam S6? I'd be interested. So I've been doing a lot of experimenting with my my Zcam F6, and I've been I've been liking it. I've been liking it quite a bit. So And I'm not just saying that because I bought it. Like I actually have been discovering some things about it that I really do like. This mic is like turning my regular shirt into like a V-neck. It happens. This is why I need a boom mic, but I don't, you know, this desk isn't big enough for me to set up a boom mic setup. But anyway, oh boy, here comes Simon. Simon coming in to troll and heckle me about Premiere. It's all lies. Premiere will always be eh. Thanks, Simon. Good to see you, man. In case any of you don't know, Simon's another great filmmaker. Does some amazing stuff overseas and travels all over. But he's got a YouTube channel up and going now too, so make sure you go and check him out. Simon's got some good content on there and some entertaining live streams during our quarantine time when we all need some sort of social connection via the internet. So good to see you, Simon. Glad to have you in here heckling me about Premiere. I'm stubborn, man. I'm stubborn. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. Furworks is in here. Good to see you. I'm still paying the huge Adobe tax, even though I haven't opened Premiere in like a year at this point. But what if I do need it one day? Yeah, I guess that is the thing with the, you know, I totally forgot about the uproar about them changing their, changing to that subscription-based model. And yeah, that's true. If you aren't using it, it can be pretty expensive to have as a just in case. But yeah, you're right. You know, what if you do need it? And a lot of the stuff that I do is all, you know, I'm working from Premiere to After Effects to Photoshop to Audition. So the bridge of all the things all together. And I know all of that can sort of all be included now in the capabilities of Resolve these days. They've added so much. But I just said I was stubborn. So yeah, there's my reason. But I will learn Resolve. I will. I said that like 2 years ago too, and I still haven't done it. All right. Quick swig of Red Bull. And then another exciting news article here. Simon saying you learned from Indy. Yeah, my pup. All right, guys. So the next one, you knew I had to talk about this. We got some more lighting announcements. We've been talking cameras and software, but we got the final lighting releases from our friends over at Aputure. So Aputure was doing a new product release each week on Wednesday with some of their live streams. And last week, we actually got information on 2 products that everyone was very, very much waiting for and wanted to hear about. And let's take a look here. And that would be the 600D and the Nova P300C. The Nova P300C being the official name of their large RGB panel. So they had a live stream on there. Here's an article with you know, a lot of the information about both of these lights and some new modifiers and all of that. But wouldn't it be more fun to watch a video about it? So in case you didn't get to see the stream, this is the video that Aputure released. Massive. Twice as bright. 1.2K HMI. Weatherproof, Bill Bowen. This is cool. Battery charging built in. Right length, continue that. Yep. Now that thing is deep. 10-inch Fresnel. Barn doors. Sweet. So there you go, guys. I asked the I asked my buddies over at Aputure if I could borrow that video because it was so cool when they had it during the live stream, and so they sent that over for me to utilize. But yeah, that was a great little hype video. That one obviously focusing specifically on that 600D. So the 600D is now the brightest, most powerful in their COB chip on board lineup. You know, we've had the 120, we've had the 300, we've had Mark IIs of both of those models. We had the recently we got the X, the 300X, which I actually reviewed and took a first look at on a live stream here. There, I'll put a link down below if you want to go ahead and take a look at that. But now we've got the 600D daylight, massive, massive power output, and yeah, just a beast. And actually we were looking at some specs here. So there's obviously specs in the article with a link down below, but I do want to show you guys. So we've already, you don't need to watch the video again. Go away video. But here we go. Let's do that. Let's get me out of there. All right. So this is some stuff, talking about the power output or the brightness output of that 600D. So they've got some comparisons here. Look, they got a Joker 800 with different reflectors on them, frosted Fresnel, super wide flood. Got some M18s, D12 HMI, and then look at that, 100,000 lux at 1 meter with just the hyper reflector, which is that main reflector that comes with the light that goes on the front. So we're not even talking about putting it through something like that new Fresnel or anything like that. And then they have the one at 3 meters here as well. That's just insane. That is a super, super powerful light. And, you know, you may not have a reason or a need necessarily for something that powerful, but the fact that they're getting that kind of power and output out of color accurate 3D technology, or not 3D, LED technology is, why did I say 3D technology? No, 3D, nobody likes that. But the fact that they're getting that out of LED tech is just such an advancement and shows so much promise for what could be coming in the future. Let me know if you guys are experiencing any buffering or anything. YouTube seems to be a little bit mad at me at the second, but we'll see how it's going here. Jessica's in here. So yeah, that's my wife right there. She says, I feel like this whole show today is just, I guess that's money flying out. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm not buying any of these things, baby. It's okay. I'm just sharing the news with everybody out there. So she's keeping tabs on me, guys. Rob says, an action thriller trailer. All it needed was an explosion. Yeah, they know how to hype those things up, man. Those videos are great. Trevor saying, on the low, Panasonic just announced that ProRes Raw will not be in the upcoming firmware release due to technical reasons. In this environment, it's okay to be late. It's not okay to be wrong. Interesting. I'll have to look into that. Thanks for bringing that up. I'll have to do a little bit of research on it. But that's good on them to be honest, to, you know, say, hey, this isn't working and we're looking into it. But yeah, that's very interesting. Berwick's saying, speaking of late modifiers, I'm still waiting on that Bowens adapter for the Nanlite from Film Tools. Not sure what's going on with it. Man, sorry about that. Furworks ordered something a while ago. Yeah, and I guess it hasn't shown up. But in terms of modifiers, that new F10 is a 10-inch Fresnel specifically designed for that 600 light. And it's gonna optimize the output of that thing. And I mean, I want to get my hands on it. I want to check it out. I don't know what use I would necessarily have for it, like if I was shooting stuff outside, for sure. But you know, this could very, very easily, you're getting into the territory where it could live on a grip truck for film. I could see this being big with rental houses, you know, where you could potentially get a whole bunch of these for a fraction of the cost of traditional HMIs, which that chart showed. If I pull that chart up, you know, this thing is beating out some of those traditional HMIs in terms of output, and it's definitely going to be beating them in price. Now, we don't have an official price yet. My guess would be it's probably in the $1,800 range, but who knows? Aputure could surprise us and come in a little bit lower, but that's going to be my guess. We're still waiting on pricing and a release date, a specific one. We got Q3. We were told Q3 on that one. But we do have something that we know when it is being released, at least for pre-orders, and that is, oh, here's some Nova specs, but that is this guy here. This is the Nova. That is the Nova 3, what do they call it? The 300C, P300C. This is their RGB panel that we saw at NAB when it was first teased. They have been working on it and working on it and working on it. This thing, they want it to be perfect, and it looks like they have pretty much got it there. And pre-orders for this begin on May 27th. So that is, what is that, Tuesday? That's in just a few days. Now, they did say that, you know, these things are probably mostly going to go out to rental houses and stuff like that first, because these are, I forget what the price they said on this was. Hang on just a second. Let's take a look here. I had the price. Let me get myself back up on the screen here. But as we go here, where they did say it, and it actually impressed me with the price. So here's all the specs and everything. Yeah, $16.99 for the fixture and $18.99 with the optional rolling case. So you are talking about a light here that, let's go to our media. Let's bring this up. So we're looking at a light here. So these are some popular larger panels that are out there. You know, the Arri S30 Sky panel, KinoFlow L80, and you're getting more output from the Nova P300C from Aputure, and it's coming in at that price point of, you know, $16.99 for just the for just the fixture. That's an amazing price. Of course, if you want a case, which you probably do, you're going to shell out a little bit more, and you're talking, you know, that $18.99 price point, so $200 more. But man, oh man, again, this is something where they are pushing the technology, and it's really exciting to see. This may not be something that, you know, you or I are gonna go and pick up and lug this giant light around. You know, it may not be useful for all of us, but the fact of the matter is that the pushing of the technology and the reduction of the price of the technology is what makes this very, very exciting for all of us, meaning that there could be smaller, more affordable products coming down the road that have this type of quality and these capabilities. Is really the excitement of this. So whether you are, you know, holding on to your credit card and waiting for Tuesday so you can order one of these first thing, or you're someone who you're like, you know what, I would never need anything that size. It's exciting both ways because hopefully we get something going there. But yeah, I just saw a note from Trevor. Trevor, you're going to get me in trouble here. I saw this. I just saw it sounds like Bart's going to buy this light. You know what? I want to, but I probably won't. Because as I'm sort of realistic about it, I don't know where I would get the most use out of a panel that size. My screen keeps freezing up a little bit here, so let me know if you guys are having problems. So I don't know if I don't know where I would have you know, get the most use out of a panel that size. Something a little bit smaller, but with the same capabilities. Maybe if that comes down the road, then maybe I'd be interested in that. Of course, I say this now, but I don't know. I'm not ordering it on Tuesday. I know that. You can see the hamster in the wheel turning inside my head, like live as we sit here and I think about it and I look at at the Nova. I would probably actually be more interested in the 600D at this point in time, as opposed to the Nova, just for the way that I work, and just for the type of stuff that I shoot. So, but you know, I've said no to stuff before, and then, you know, weeks later I end up doing a show about it because I bought it. So we'll see. Simon saying, yeah, telling my wife, be sure to keep track of the house rebuild orders. Like I'm gonna sneak some lights and stuff in there. You know, well, we need to light up the basement. Why not with an LS300 Nova, right? Rob saying, I think the reason they announced it under the radar is they knew a lot of people are going to be peed off. Talking about Panasonic saying that they can't get ProRes Raw at this time in a firmware update. Interesting. Rob says, have they heard of the internet? Yeah, it's like people are going to find out about it, aren't they? Yeah, they're going to find out about it. Okay, so there we go. That's it from Aputure. You know, I could spend plenty of time on it, but again, I do have the link to the article here, and the article also has a replay of the live stream that Aputure did. That'll answer all of your questions and everything about that. But so we've got a lot of stuff that we went over today. You know, we're talking about, we got new camera specs in the R5 from Canon. We've got no specs, but pricing from Red on the Komodo. We've got a really cool collaboration happening with Cam and Atomos, enabling ProRes Raw over HDMI. That's sweet. More ProRes info, you know, ProRes Raw now fully supported in Premiere Pro. That's fantastic. And in the lighting world, we have the Aputure 600D and Nova P300C, with that Nova being available for pre-order on May 27th, which, if my calculations are correct, is Tuesday. I can't see the calendar. No, is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday. I lied. 27th. Use the number. Days of the week don't matter anymore. We're in quarantine. They all blur together. All you need to know is it's the 27th. But yeah, so there's all of that. Let's see if we get some chat and some questions. I did see one just come in right now, and we'll get this thing wrapped up and see what we got from you guys here. So, Jason's asking, "What's your setup right now? Lights, camera, and switcher." Oh, Jason, that actually reminds me. Since you just said switcher, one thing that actually just happened, and I just found out last night, I did an update, is my Elgato Stream Deck, which I use as my switcher, actually now works with Streamlabs OBS, which is my streaming software, on Mac. Tell you what, I'm going to try and real quick set this up onto... set my phone up as one of my cameras for you guys. Let's see if this will work, so that I can actually show you what I've got going on. Is iPhone NDI working? Yes, there it is. Cool. All right, so this is what I was talking about right here. This is my Elgato Stream Deck. Sorry, it's kind of dusty, gross. But I've been using this for forever with OBS to do my switching, but I recently switched over to Streamlabs OBS. So if you look up here, I've got multiple things in the chat, but basically I'm using Streamlabs OBS right there. And this, for the past couple of weeks, was not compatible with Streamlabs OBS on Mac. But with a software update to the Elgato Stream Deck software, which just came through, it is now compatible, and if I push these buttons, it'll switch. So if I want to go to Cam A, this will switch us. So I just push the button, and there we are. If I want to go back to the iPhone NDI, click, and there we go. So that's how I'm switching right there. In terms of the camera setup, so like I said, my software is right here. It is the Streamlabs OBS that I'm using. And it's a lot of chat on screen at the same time. My camera is up here. Like I said, it is a Panasonic Lumix G7. And I am using a 14mm Rokinon on that guy. And that's giving me my main camera feed. I'm not actually using this webcam here, but I do always have it up there. My key light is this right here. This is another Elgato product. This is the Elgato key light, actually, is what it's called. It's actually pretty cool because it can be controlled from here. So if I push the button on my Stream Deck, boop, it's off. Turn it back on. Yep, my background light is over there. I have it hitting me. That is a Forza 60, a Namlight Forza 60, which is coming and giving me a little bit of a rim light. And this wonderful accent light that I'm getting. If you take a look, see I got a little bit of blue on this side, blue on my face over here, and a little bit of blue here. Just real quick, we'll take a peek up. I am doing that with an Aputure MC. Wow, look at that crazy blue reflections, like the phone can't handle it. And since it has magnets, I have actually stuck it with its magnet directly to the drop ceiling grid that's on here. So it just sticks up there. So I can actually go and just grab this guy, doink, magnet, and stick it. There we go. So that is my current setup right there. So yeah, that was a fun little tour. This is obviously a temporary space. This is a house that we're renting right now while we are rebuilding the other one. So I will be, you know, hopefully in several months, setting up an entirely new streaming setup and all of that. That'll be a little bit more permanent, but yeah, so hopefully that gives you a little rundown of how I'm making these streams happen, a little behind the scenes there. Let me know if you guys have any more questions. We'll hang out here for just another quick couple minutes, and then I got to get myself over to, checking my mic, over to the other house, and I got to go build a wall. I tore out a wall to expand my office over there, and now I need to put the new wall back up. So I'm gonna go get dirty for the rest of this lovely Saturday. Trevor's saying, I just started playing around with the anamorphic on my S1H. It looks beautiful. Man, I love playing with anamorphic. True anamorphic lenses are super expensive, but you know, obviously there are ways around it, adapters, and some companies are making some more affordable ones. But yeah, anamorphic is so much fun to play with. I haven't actually used the S1H. I would love to check that out, but that sounds pretty cool. Trevor's saying there are some new lenses on the anamorphic front from Siriu and Vazen that look really nice. Maybe not as cool as other stuff. Like I said, you know, there's a lot of more affordable stuff coming out in terms of anamorphic. I just haven't explored it. I do have something that's sort of anamorphic look-wise that I've been working with, but that's all I can say right now. But make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell. Aha, plug. Because I will have a video on that particular thing coming soon. You know, within the next couple of weeks, I would think. I just need to get the okay from the company to get that finished up and out there. But some cool stuff I've been playing around with during this quarantine time to keep myself busy. Let's see here. Cool overhead light idea, Trevor. Glad you like that. You know, the magnet, it works. Jason says, looks great. Are you using the Cam Link to get the feed into your computer? I'm not using a Cam Link. Actually, I have a built-in Blackmagic Decklink Mini 4K, so a Blackmagic capture card built into my Mac Pro that I am running the HDMI from the camera into. I do have an Elgato Cam Link that I use when I have a second camera as well. So I'll do that when I do that. So, but it would work. Rob says he's gonna jet. Thanks for the party. Always good to see you. Thanks for hanging out, Rob. I think we're probably gonna follow your lead and actually wrap this thing up as well. We had some great chat today, some great questions. Hopefully you guys got all caught up on everything that's happening here. There was a lot that I needed to get caught up on, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with me while we explored all this stuff. Some stuff that's really exciting, some stuff that I could take it or leave it, and some stuff that shows promise for, you know, developments that could possibly be coming in the future. But anyway, guys, I'm going to call it there. For those of you who hung out in the chat this whole time, you guys are awesome. I always love hanging out with you. If you're catching the replay, you didn't get to join us live, like I said, make sure you subscribe and click that bell so that you don't miss it, and you can be one of these lovely people hanging out and chatting in here on Saturday afternoons at 1 p.m. Eastern time. All right, everybody, you take care, and I'm going to use my Elgato Stream Deck to switch to our end screen, and I'll see you guys next weekend, next Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your Saturday.